This is my Adansonii variegated aurea, and this is my philodendron tortum. I recently got these maybe about a couple months ago from Indonesia. So they have acclimated really perfectly and they're ready to start giving explosive growth, right? So here's what I do to encourage that. Whenever I get a plant in, I notice that lots of plants, especially philodendrons and monstera, are taken from cutting. And so you have one small root system attached to one node. And I don't know about you, but that scares me. The goal is to have as many roots in your substrate, whether that be soil, leca, or lechuza pond, as you can, okay? And this is how I accomplish that. So when I get a plant in, I have it facing towards whichever window I want to put it in. And so it naturally just wants to lean into the window. And I take advantage of that because what I do is if I can find a node or multiple nodes, I will try to kind of push them down or bobby pin them as far as I can so that the nodes can be touching the substrate. Because more often than not, once they touch your substrate, they'll start producing roots for you if those little roots aren't there already. And so you're just encouraging it to root down into the soil. So now you have an extra node that has roots on it. And so your plant has a better chance of survival, and your plant also is able to uptake nutrients a lot better, easier. I repeat this process for as many nodes as I can until it reaches the end of the pot. And once I've done that, I'll repot it and let it grow normally. But my first mission when I get new plants in is to get as many nodes contacting the soil as possible. So these are two examples. And also, if you want to ask about alocasias, yes, you can do that with alocasias too, even though their stems grow up and their nodes are going up, you can still do it. I use the exact same method. I just have it going towards one window, let it lean in, encourage the substrate to go under it. You know, sometimes I'll even push the substrate up into that node just to get it to touch it. Here's a perfect example of that. I just bobby pinned some of the nodes down on this Adansonii, and it only took a few days, and the roots already gone down into the substrate. And then I have another node here with three roots going off the side, and I'm pretty sure that's going to touch the substrate really soon. Now, if you're not able to do that for some reason, if you got a plant that is mature or semi-mature and it's already established, I can still help you. First example is my philodendron wors whiskey aurea. I was told by so many people that this was a finicky plant, so I definitely wanted to make sure that I can get roots down here as fast as I can. And so this is a perfect opportunity to show you what you can do. Most often than not, most aeroids that you get are going to have these aerial roots. And so every time an aerial root comes out, you want to get him, try not to break this, you want to get them down as far as you can. And really, they don't have to go way down into the substrate. They can just go a little bit, and soon that's going to produce an extensive network of roots. And I just think this is easier and more cost effective because you can accomplish this with a moss pole, which is why a lot of people use moss poles, where the roots grow and dig into the moss pole. You're doing the exact same thing with this. I'm personally really concerned about aesthetic most times, and I just don't like the way moss poles look. But fortunately, in my collection, my plants have had no problem maturing despite it. I have tons of larger examples of this, so I'm just going to show you a few. This is my Thai constellation. Some people grow them as climbers, others grow them as crawlers. I grow them as crawlers because I want as many nodes to touch that substrate as humanly possible, because everybody knows that Thai constellations are prone to root rot, so I'm not taking chances. My plan for this is to let it crawl onto the end of the pot so I can get all those roots set up. And then once it's outgrown this pot, I'm going to repot it. The only thing that I haven't decided yet is whether I'm going to continue this, because my goal is to get this as large as my regular Monstera deliciosa. And this is how I'm doing it. My other Thai is like that as well. And let me show you an example of a gigantic plant that I did that with. This is my philodendron Paraiso Verde. I got it as a small tissue culture plantlet, and it has grown phenomenally. Now, let's go down here and look under the trunk, so to speak. You can see here that a growth point apparently has been activated because we have a new little small Paraiso Verde coming in. But also look at all of these aerial roots. They've all been pushed down into the substrate. They are all fully rooted up in there. And you can also see where I let all these nodes touch while the plant was young. See, look at that and how it goes all the way back there. So that was my strategy for this plant, and it has worked out very, very well. This is my Anthurium warcanum, or the queen Anthurium, and I've done the same thing with her. If you look down into the substrate, this plant actually starts way back here, but every time I repot it, I trade it to go down, and now that it's finally coming outside of the pot, on my next repot, I'll just pull that down just a little bit more. Well, that's all I have for you. I hope this was helpful. I hope you've learned something. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. See y'all later. Bye.